All right, welcome to another episode of the Ridiculously Lame Wrestling Show. I am Robert Lentini. We're going to be going over the December 16th episode of WWE RAW from TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. It was the first show following Saturday night's main event. There was a major title change tonight, a title change that I've been wanting to take place for a long-ass time, and it finally happened tonight. But overall, this show was mediocre at best, but there were a few good moments, starting with the opening segment. It was spoiled by the dirt sheets before the show, but CM Punk kicked off Raw tonight. He cut a promo on Seth Rollins. Those two brawled a couple weeks ago. He said he's been, even though he told Rollins that he never thought about him, he actually did think about him a couple times recently this week, because he knew the visionary was actually right. They did need to settle their differences. They did need to step inside the ring. He thought he could sidestep Rollins and go after the World Heavyweight Championship or try to win the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber. He was pointing at an invisible WrestleMania sign earlier this month. No, he's got to deal with Rollins first because their issues are that important. They hate each other and they need to deal with it. Punk said he knows at some point Seth Rollins' music was going to hit. He was going to interrupt him. He kept trying to egg him on. He said he actually danced and walked around like Seth Rollins and did the fake laugh. And he said, just because you put on Elton John's glasses doesn't mean you're Elton John. And just because you idolize CM Punk, that doesn't make you CM Punk. He called him little brother again. So they're fully going into this rivalry. Like Punk is just treating Rollins like an absolute douchebag in this rivalry. Like if you were an objective person, I could see how you could believe CM Punk's the heel. He might be. He's just the way he's talking to Rollins, just little broing him all the time, comparing him to Liberace during this. It was just all over the place. Punk was also he sounded like me, stumbling all over the place with his lines during this promo too. It wasn't his best effort tonight. But Seth Rollins interrupted from the crowd. He started a sarcastic CM Punk chant. Then he's like, "Look, I wanted to come in the crowd to get a different perspective, to see maybe if I could change my mind about you, see things in a new light from a fan's perspective." And CM Punk's like, "Well, you finally came into the arena the right way. You're in the crowd with the rest of the CM Punk fans." And Rollins says, "Well, I came for a new perspective, and nope, even from back here, you're still an asshole," which was a great line. I like that line by Rollins a lot. Then they started brawling. Security shows up. The security tries to separate them like 10 times. They keep brawling. They run through the crowd, through just all over the place. They're brawling. Finally, they're separated. Triple H just loves these pull-apart brawls. Holy shit, he does them on every major angle. Not really a big issue, but mix it up a little bit, please. Later in the show, we get Adam Pearce and Seth Rollins arguing backstage. Rollins said he wants a match. And then later on the show again, Adam Pearce is interviewed by Jackie Redmond backstage and announces that it'll be CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at the Raw debut show on Netflix on January 6th, 2025. So that's likely going to be the main event of the debut episode of Raw on Netflix, is CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. I don't know how you get any bigger than that. So that it's either kicking off the show or ending it. But I cannot wait for that match. It was rumored to happen at WrestleMania XL, but of course Punk tore his triceps and that match couldn't happen. Rollins was supposed to continue his rivalry with Bronson Reed following Survivor Series. He was supposed to have a series of cage matches. That didn't happen because Reed broke his ankle jumping off the cage at War Games. So a lot of circumstances had to go down to get this rivalry happening now and get this match happening on the Raw debut on Netflix, but it makes sense. I guess they're not going to do it at WrestleMania, or this is going to be another trio, like a 3-series rivalry like Drew McIntyre and Punk, and just goes on for months and months on end. I'd be fine with that if they don't. I am a huge fan of CM Punk, but I do not need to see him win the World Heavyweight Championship. I do not need to see that happen at all. I am fine with him as a special attraction, mainly a promo guy in a match once every month or two. I'm fine with that. So if I do not need to see CM Punk have a World Heavyweight title reign. So if this feud, this rivalry takes us to WrestleMania, I am absolutely fine with that. I've been wanting to see this match for a long-ass time. It was disappointing that it didn't happen for the World Heavyweight Championship last year, but they could just do a blood feud again with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, because I think Seth Rollins legitimately hates CM Punk, and if not, they got me. They've worked me, because Rollins calling Punk a cancer, saying he never wants him to come to the company when Punk got fired from AEW. Just a lot of shit that Rollins has said about Punk. A lot of it's true, But if you're a CM Punk fan, you just accept it. But I am really looking forward to this match. Again, this was not one of CM Punk's best promos tonight. But having said that, it was still better than most. And it's CM Punk versus Seth Rollins in the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. I mean, that sounds awesome. It's going to be a great match next month. Speaking of great matches, holy shit. I don't even know how to break this match down. Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser. I just am remembering spots here. It's just the Frankensteiner by Breaker, the running shoulder tackle. I don't understand. Breaker like floats when he jumps. He does not, like the gravity doesn't, it just takes an exception with Braun Breaker. Don't worry about it. You can just float. I don't understand how he jumps that far. He's insanely fast. He's a freak athlete. And this match was great. This was like 15, 20 minutes opening match following the CM Punk promo. I was invested the entire time, went through a couple commercial breaks. I didn't want to turn the channel. I didn't tune to Monday Night Football. I was locked into this match. But obviously, Braun Breaker retained. The crowd was heavily behind Breaker. They're just turning him babyface, it seems, just naturally. He's just getting the fans barking at him. It's working as a babyface, and I don't know who's going to be next for Breaker. Maybe Sheamus returns for a singles match. He had the rib injury at Survivor Series. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but this match ruled. This match was great, and Ludwig Kaiser, I still think, is going to be a huge single star. He has the look, he has the talent, he has everything. But Braun Breaker is a special talent, generational talent, multiple-time future world champion. So I'm just looking forward to see who faces him next. I mean, he just can't go wrong, it seems. Rey Mysterio and the New Day had a conversation backstage. Xavier Woods ripped off Rey Mysterio's mask a couple months ago, and that apparently wasn't enough to get him kicked out of the locker room, but because he spoke to Big E like a jerk earlier this month on the 10th anniversary on December 2nd, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods were kicked out of the locker room. Rey Mysterio basically mizzed Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods said, "You can't change with us." So that's what happened tonight to the New Day. War Raiders kind of promo ahead of their title match. That was the main event tonight. War Raiders versus the Judgment Day for the World Tag Team Championships. Eric and Ivar spoke about their injuries. They have dealt with a ton of shit, if you did not know, for the past couple of years. Eric's been out forever until he finally returned. Ivar went for a singles run for a bit. He challenged Obafemi for the NXT North American Championship. Then he got injured. They got stem cell treatments, neck surgery. It's just been a disaster for the War Raiders. So it's just, cool to see them back. I don't like how they already lost the title match to the Judgment Day earlier or last month, whenever they had that match. Don't like how they did that. But this was a fun match. We'll get to that later. But this is a good promo. I like these vignettes are being filmed very well. The Shinsuke Nakamura, the War Raiders one tonight, DIY and Motor City Machine Guns, and the black and white ones on SmackDown. I noticed stuff like that. I think it looks cool. It changes things up. I appreciate it, and I enjoy this little War Raiders promo. Eric talking about, wondering if he was going to be able to hold his son, and then saying, 2 weeks ago I finally was able to do so, or something like that. He had tons of nerve damage and shit. I'm glad he's all right, and glad they're back. Judgment Day cut a hilarious promo tonight. Dominic Mysterio once again booed out of the building, cannot say a word, cannot get a word out without just loud boos. You can barely hear him. It's just hilarious. Liv Morgan had to take the microphone away and said, I don't think you guys heard, but he said, please welcome the greatest women's world champion of all time. And then Raquel Rodriguez handed Liv Morgan a megaphone, and she shouted, "I am the greatest women's world champion of all time," and then did that ridiculous laugh that she does into the megaphone. But she was going to cut a promo, and Rhea Ripley interrupted. Rhea Ripley confronted Liv Morgan after she defeated Io Sky at Saturday night's main event to retain the Women's World Championship. They had a stare down on the entrance ramp. Tonight, she said she just spoke to Adam Pearce, and she's now the #1 contender. I don't think they announced when this match will happen, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the title. I didn't get that. Maybe January 6th, maybe Royal Rumble. They can do this match whenever. There's no rush to take the title off Liv Morgan. They're pushing her as the female superstar of the year, or whatever that award is. Wade Barrett's been pushing it. A couple people have. I wouldn't. She's been pretty damn good. But I'm looking forward to Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan again. But the line of this promo was at the end. Ripley said, "I'm going to take the Women's World Championship from you, and all you're going to have is Dominic Mysterio, your little chicken tender slut." What a ridiculous line. Dominic Mysterio loves his chicken tenders. Apparently that makes him a chicken tender slut. I laughed out loud at that line completely out of nowhere. Fantastic line. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to this match. I was let down by the match at Bad Blood with the Shark Cage with Dominic Mysterio. I thought they could have done a lot more with that. The Raquel Rodriguez ending it in like a disqualification or a no contest. It was just lame. So I'm looking forward to them getting into the ring again, and I'm expecting Rhea Ripley to win the title back. She never lost the Women's World Championship, had to relinquish it due to injury. I think it's time to give her title back, but we'll see. Again, we have no idea when that match will take place. Another storyline I'm still enjoying. I don't know if anybody else still is, but the Final Testament in The Miz and the Wyatt Six angle is still going on, even though the Final Testament defeated the Wyatt Six in an 8-man tag team match, and effectively, to me, ended the feud because Karrion Kross pinned Uncle Howdy. He didn't pin Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis. No, he pinned the leader, Uncle Howdy. That kind of like takes all the steam out of the rivalry for me, but I'm still enjoying it. And The Miz, being the weasel that he is, tried once again tonight to get out of the Final Testament, to get out of the situation, to get away from the Wyatt Six. But Karrion Kross said, my guys, Paul Ellering has saved you twice. You still owe us. And you're going to Adam Pearce right now to get a singles match against Dexter Lumis next week. And he's noted that Dexter Lumis kidnapped The Miz like a few years ago now. And The Miz just accepted it. He just didn't want to deal with the Final Testament kicking his ass. He said, all right, I'll go talk to Adam Pearce. And then after The Miz walks away, Karrion Kross goes to Paul Ellering and says, if you cut a deal with the devil, you do not run out on it. So Karrion Kross is the devil. I just like this storyline. I'm enjoying it. And they're also there was a random vignette here with a zero sign with the cross through it. Could be Pentagon Jr., could be who. I have no idea. I'm assuming Penta, but we don't know. But that's going to be revealed on January 6th, the Raw debut on Netflix. So they're loading up that show. I'm assuming it's Penta, but who knows? And also, the New Day were interviewed backstage, but there was a disturbance. Kairi Sane was attacked by, it seemed like Zoey Stark or just Pure Fusion Collective, Shayna Baszler, Sonya Deville, and Zoey Stark. That happened after this match that I'm going to talk about right now, the Triple Threat Women's Intercontinental Championship. The tournament continued tonight. Kayden Carter versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Zoey Stark. This match was all right. Had a bit of a sloppy ending. Zoey hit a rough-looking Z360 on Kayden Carter. I don't know whose fault that was, but it didn't look the best. But she won, and then after the match, she took out Kairi Sane. So I guess they're going to have to find a replacement for Kairi Sane in the next triple threat match to determine who advances in the IC title tournament. But I'm glad Zoey Stark advanced here. She's insanely talented to me. She's not the best with promos, but this is like the workhorse title. She's pretty gifted in the ring. I thought she was great with her storyline with Trish Stratus. I hope that they run that back, because there's really been no developments there other than Zoey Stark hit Trish Stratus with the Z360 at Payback 2023. I'd like to see that Stratus come back and go after Stark. If that ever happens, I'm sure Stratus still looks great. She hosted Money in the Bank. I'd like to see that, but I would not be opposed to Zoey Stark being the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion at all. Finally, we get to the main event, the Judgment Day versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team Championships. This is a back-and-forth match. Went 15, 20 minutes, but in the end, the right team won. The War Raiders captured the titles because Damian Priest got his revenge on Finn Balor. Finn Balor has cost Damian Priest the World Heavyweight Championship twice now. When Damian Priest was the World Heavyweight Champion in the Judgment Day, Balor fucked him over at SummerSlam and cost him the title. And then Damian Priest challenged for the title at Survivor Series. Balor screwed him over again and interfered in his match against Gunther. And he also, Gunther was able to retain at Saturday Night's Main Event by defeating Finn Balor and Damian Priest in a triple threat match. I knew they weren't going to take the title off Gunther to further the rivalry between Priest and Balor. That should not have anything to do with the World Heavyweight Championship. But how this match ended was the referee got knocked down or was distracted by J.D. McDonough. J.D. McDonough brought a chair into the ring, and the referee was like, what the hell are you doing? So he's yelling at J.D. McDonough. back to Balor. Balor goes to the timekeeper's area to get another chair, but he can't pull it away from the timekeeper. He's like, what the hell are you doing? And it's revealed to be Damian Priest. He takes off his mask. Balor's freaked out. He gets hit with a clothesline. Then back in the ring, War Raiders hit their finisher. Win the titles, the War Machine. They had the War Machine on Balor to win the title, so that they are the new World Tag Team Champions. Damian Priest sitting on the announce table applauding after the War Raiders win. Fun match. I'm glad the Judgment Day are no longer the World Tag Team Champions. I'm not sure if they're going to do anything more with the titles now that the War Raiders are champions. I don't know if they're going to book the War Raiders on TV every week. I hope they do. But what with the Judgment Day was very frustrating when they were the tag team champions is just McDonough and Balor would just be holding the titles in the Judgment Day's clubhouse backstage having conversations every week, and nobody seemed to care about the titles. Nobody seemed to be fighting to challenge them. They held them since June till 6 months, a 6-month title reign. I think they defended them 3 or 4 times on television. I don't know about live events, but it was just a terrible title reign. I thought they were going to do more with that because McDonough and Balor are close friends. They've been wrestling together for a long time. I thought that was going to be a good team, a good way to go. But instead, they had Balor involved in the World Heavyweight Championship storyline, completely devaluing the tag titles, completely devaluing their reign. I didn't enjoy their run as tag team champions, so I'm glad the War Raiders have the titles now. We'll see if WWE has better plans for Eric and Ivar as champions, but overall, this was just an okay episode of Raw. It wasn't a great follow-up to Saturday night's main event, in my opinion. Had some good moments, the CM Punk promo and Seth Rollins. The brawl was great, and I liked the title change main event. But overall, like I said, it wasn't the best show. And also, Ludwig Kaiser versus Bron Breakker was easily the match of the night. But that is it for this review. We will see you guys for the Dynamite review, and thank you so much for watching. Also, subscribe if you haven't.